Trump tariff threat. We're getting some breaking news. Can Donald Trump's threat deter India's Russia dosti? Now, the government has hinted that there's no stopping oil buying from Russia. India to stay steadfast on the Russian crude oil. National interest paramount for the Modi government. So, amid a renewed tariff threat from US President Donald Trump, government has hinted that there's no stopping of oil buying from Russia. India will continue to buy oil from Russia. India will stay steadfast on the Russian crude oil because national interest is paramount for the Modi government. In fact, India has also responded sharply to the renewed Trump tariff threat. India has called it unreasonable and unjustified. It has slammed Donald Trump's threat of substantial tariff hikes. Remember, 25% tariff has already been imposed on India, and Donald Trump yesterday said that there will be substantial tariff hikes if India does not stop buying oil from Russia, which Donald Trump claims is like supporting the war in Ukraine and supporting the killing of innocent people in Ukraine, to which India has now hit back, slamming Donald Trump's threat and calling the targeting as unjustified and unreasonable. In fact, government has also hinted that India will continue to buy oil from Russia. India will stay steadfast on the Russian crude oil because national interest is paramount for the Modi government. And Business Today's Karishma is now joining us with more details on this. Karishma, renewed tariff threat from Donald Trump. If you could help us understand, how does it impact the Indian businesses and also the markets?
On the financial front, it's definitely not good news for us, and I'm sure markets which are going to open in a while will react to this negatively. But this was not expected on cards because we need to understand that this is no more a tariff war or a tariff tension. It's clearly taken a geopolitical turn, and the fact that India chose to respond after maintaining silence for a while, but now respond sternly and not firmly and in a fiery way. In fact, putting facts out on who deals what with Russia clearly speaks of the fact that India is not willing to get into this pressure tactic that the US is putting, not per se relating to tariffs, but its geopolitical position with Russia or with Iran, or as a matter of fact with Pakistan. On the financial front, this will not come good to us in case we decide to take an alternative route sans Russia. But from the statement that was released last evening, clearly we are looking to continue our trade with Russia. There is no word yet coming from the India's oil minister on if there have been any alternative talks. On the fiscal part, if we look at it, it's the discounted crude from Russia that has benefited us a lot. And since our 85% of crude oil is dependent on imports, close to 40 to 42% is what we import from Russia, which is close to say 2 million barrel per day, and that is a lot of import, especially the fact that we are solely dependent on it. Besides, of course, we also take it from Saudi Arabia and Iran, but we are able to save a lot of money because we are taking it at a discounted price from Russia.
Absolutely. Karishma, do stay with us. New Delhi has slammed Donald Trump's threat of substantial tariff hikes. India has accused both the United States and the European Union for the unreasonable and unjustified targeting. Ministry of External Affairs further went on to say that, like any major economy, India will take all necessary measures to safeguard its national interests and economic security. Donald Trump's tariff tantrum have been growing. After imposing 25% tariffs, the US president has threatened India yet again over its purchase of Russian oil. In a post on Truth Social, Trump went on to say that India is not only buying massive amounts of Russian oil, but also selling it in the open market for big profits, further claiming that India does not care how many people in Ukraine are being killed by the Russian war machine. Meanwhile, politics also continues to erupt over this issue back home, with the Congress party accusing Prime Minister and Finance Minister of being silent and afraid of Donald Trump.
We live in complicated and uncertain times. Our collective desire is to see a fair and representative global order, not one dominated by a few. That quest is often articulated as political or economic rebalance. But I want to say this to you: obtaining respect and ensuring dignity for societies can also be achieved through cultural prowess, especially through cultural prowess.
And Business Today's Karishma continues to stay with us. Karishma, what steps can the Indian businesses take to reduce their dependency on the United States?
Well, to be honest, this is going to be difficult in the short term side of it. In the long term, definitely, we will have to look for various ways out. When it comes to crude oil, we won't be able to do much. We do also, in fact, take a bit from United States of America. But when it comes to other businesses, we need to of course, realize the fact that a lot of sectors of ours are a lot of exports of ours in key sectors like that of textiles, pharmaceuticals, gems and jewelry, medicines go to the US, and they've continued to see an increased demand. And while there has been a 26% tariff on imposed on us, at least for the next 2 months, until the BTA takes a positive and a firm shape, we will have to wait and watch out to see if there is going to be a maintained demand in the next 2 months, because it at the end of the day, it is the US consumer who will have to bear the extra 26% cost. So would they want to continue buying textile from with a 26% tariff from India, or is it going to be a 20% tariff from Vietnam? Only time will tell in 2 months if we have been able to sustain the tariff stress.
Right. Karishma, do stay with us. Now, let us tell our viewers how India has called out the West's hypocrisy on the Trump tariff threat. Now, India has said that targeting of India is unjustified and also unreasonable. This is the sharpest hit back from the Indian side on the Trump tariff threat. India goes on to say that the nations criticizing India indulged in trade with Russia themselves. US was actively encouraging imports by India. European Union in 2024 had 67.5 billion euro bilateral trade with Russia. India goes on to say that European LNG imports from Russia was 16.5 million tons in the year 2024. In fact, Europe also imports energy, fertilizers from Russia. And India has also said that even United States imports uranium hexafluoride from Russia. So that's the rebuttal from the Indian side on the renewed Trump tariff threat. Business Today's Karishma continues to stay with us. Karishma, how can these tariff threats, deter US investments in India, and also can they shift away global supply chains from India?
Too early to say if the global supply chain is going to be impacted, because each time such kind of geopolitical issues arise, and I'm considering tariff as a geopolitical issue currently, because it's really impacting countries in different ways, and it's shifting the whole global trade agenda. But it may not have an adverse impact in the short term scenario, but it's definitely not good in the long run. Now, when it comes to US investments in India, there is definitely going to be a sentimental shift. The fact that for the longest we were cautious of having our commercial relationship with China in terms of companies collaborating or FDI investment from China, or as a matter of fact, even exchange of visas with China. Did create some kind of sentimental shift in the way businesses work in India, if we need to continue to deal with China or not. So I think if situation gets adverse, and if there is going to be an escalation of what is currently happening, which is facts versus facts that both the countries are doing, then there is likelihood that we may also feel a sentimental shift in our perspective on trading with the United States of America, not just on goods but also on services, with whom we share a really strong relationship. There's a very strong diaspora also located in the United States of America in the IT sector, and knowing the fact that how dynamic this relationship in the previous few months has been, with a 26% tariff coming on us, despite the fact that we had a first mover advantage, we should not be surprised if there is going to be something more that is coming to us on non-tariff lines.
Absolutely. Karishma, thank you so much for joining us with all those details.